Dan Cronin, a distinguished career in Illinois civic life, Illinois politics, Illinois government. And he has for the last several years, after a career in Springfield, starting with the state house, moving on to the state senate, focusing like a laser beam on education and its possibilities to lead our children to greater knowledge and capability. He heard a call in his own home county, the county of his upbringing and birth and his family, and he responded. And that county made him the chairman of its Board of Commissioners. There, he's distinguished himself. I think everybody in the state knows that Dan Cronin has addressed the question of consolidation more directly, I believe, and Dr. Green has an article coming out on this, more directly than any elected official since World War II. He has seen that issue and he has addressed it, and that is but one of his many contributions to the public conversation in this city and this county and our neighboring county of DuPage, which I know Father Ryan didn't mean to leave out of his invocation. We pray for everybody in DuPage, even though it's in the Joliet Diocese. And therefore, a big City Club welcome for Dan Cronin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris, for that very generous introduction. I do want to thank all the folks that have come out here today. I really appreciate it. I look around the crowd, and there's just a lot of friends and folks that I've worked with for many, many years. My lovely wife is here with me, so I'm doing okay, you know what I mean? So, Chris, thanks. Jay Doherty, Tweed Thornton, thank you for the invitation. Really appreciate it. DuPage County board members, I have to recognize our team because, look, at the way the county works in DuPage is, I think, a model for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is we can't do anything unless we have a team. And really, the influence, the power, if you will, is vested in the board, and I'm very blessed. Jay Rock and his table back there, Jay Rock from the mighty firm of Rock, Fusco, and Conley. I think you have Bob Berlin, John Kern, Sam Tornatori, Gary Grasso, Tony Michelasi with you. I know Don Pachowski's here, Jim Zay, Paul Fickner. I'm really honored that Tony Preckwinkle has joined us. Paul Hines is here. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the world's greatest Chief of Staff, Tom Kuklich, and our team at the county. Kirk Dillard is here, Jeff Reddick from the Tollway. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you here today about DuPage County. Wow, what a difference a year makes. In the 12 months since I spoke to you last, we've had two monumentally important elections. It's been a big year for all of us who participate in and watch politics, right? It's become an increasingly expensive business. Last week we saw Sam Zell drop $4 million. Reports in January revealed that it cost Governor Bruce Rauner some $65 million to win his election. Just a few weeks ago, the Chicago Tribune reported Rahm Emanuel and his PAC spent almost $23 million to fend off Chuy Garcia to win re-election. $65 million, $23 million. Dear, after we pay tuition, what do we got left in the bank? Nothing. Yeah, that's what I thought. I think I'll stay put in DuPage for now. But I got to tell you, pretty obviously, everybody here is a veteran and has been watching the process, and I don't think there's anything necessarily different, but there's a qualitative new level, I think, that's going on now. And I would argue that the rules have changed. The rules have changed. The money, big money, is here to stay and influence the political process like never before. These political leaders spent millions for the privilege of trying to solve some of the worst financial crises in the history of the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. There's a $430 million budget shortfall at City Hall, $550 million increase in pension payments for all city workers that's due, a $1 billion hole at Chicago Public Schools. And in Springfield, the job is to plug a $6.6 billion hole for the next fiscal year. Now, lots of factors fed into these crises. We could stay here all afternoon to talk about that, the recession, the kick the can down the road approach, bad decisions, demographic realities, aging population. But through all of these changes, our government, for the most part, stayed the same here in Illinois. And by that I mean government lagged behind the private sector in adapting and changing to the new realities that face us. We've not made meaningful reform to the size and cost of government, not really. So as the economy contracted, and now it's starting to expand a little bit, the government really did not follow suit and contract. And so in order to do meaningful change and reform, Governor Rauner at least believes that we must solve our budget and pension crisis, of course. Reduce the tax burden on business. Yes, I agree with that. And that means everything has to be on the table. We've seen that in the governor's budget proposal, reductions in our local share of state tax funds, the local government distributive share. It's painful. It's going to be painful. It's going to be very painful for the city of Chicago and Mayor Emanuel, and it's hard to believe whether or not if it's really going to happen. But as that same mayor once said, famously, never let a good crisis go to waste. I believe that this is the time for our cities, counties, townships, all 7,000 units of local government to become more nimble, to do more with less, to join together to purchase services and equipment at the lowest possible prices, shared services, joint purchasing, merging, consolidating, streamlining. But just how do you deliver services at a lower cost, right? Sounds like a car salesman. Well, let's look at our tax bill and see what we can cut. It's not uncommon to have 12 to 16 taxing bodies standing between you and your money. Please don't get me wrong. We need these services, I think, some of them. Park districts, libraries, highway maintenance, no doubt about it. But do we need all of their individual finance departments, their HR, their procurement, the administrators? Could we get the same service under fewer umbrellas? Because here in Illinois, along with the most challenging financial situation with the budget and the pension, we have the largest number of local government entities, more than any other state in the nation. Many of these local government entities fly under the radar, some performing limited or duplicative work. These single-purpose districts abound here in Illinois, and the fact is we just cannot afford to operate like this anymore. So, as many of you know, I went to the legislature a few years ago, asked for the ability just in DuPage County to cut out some of the unnecessary units of government, to reduce some, just a few, 13 of the 7,000 units, save money, try to be the template, try to be the model. That was our goal, and I think that we've achieved much of our goal. This initiative we call the ACT initiative, Accountability, Consolidation, and Transparency. We created it in 2012 after a study revealed that in DuPage County we could consolidate some of the taxing bodies and eliminate some that have outlived their usefulness. But it's just not that easy. What was I thinking? Really. Historically, the playbook, right, for politics and political influence is that you have these agencies and they have important causes, right, and you got to hire people and engage vendors and you got jobs and contracts and you got your guys, right? And that's your network of support, and those are your people. That's your political community, and that's been the model, and that's the way it's been, right? And when you threaten that political infrastructure, people don't always like it. Too many folks have come to rely on these political fiefdoms. So really and truly, you ask a basic question, the answer I think is pretty obvious, but what's more important? The infrastructure, the lawyers, the lobbyists who are paid to protect the status quo of inefficient government service, costly, duplicative, under the radar, or conducting our business in the light of day. Fewer fire stations, not more when we already have too many. Sharing equipment that is only rarely used, not buying more. Reducing costs so you can redirect money either back to the taxpayers or to pay for some new and emerging need in your county. So the answer is pretty obvious, but why is this important? What's the big picture here? Well, in our county, we have a growing number of children living in poverty. 137% increase from 1999 to 2012. Our senior population, like many places, is exploding, and so is their need for housing, transportation, medical care. And we are fighting a very intense and deadly battle with heroin and prescription pain pill abuse, with 46 heroin deaths alone back in 2013. I think I speak for all of us when I acknowledge that the heroin crisis is really ripping at the fabric of families all over the Chicago area. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the more that we're talking about, that I'm talking about, when we say we need to do more with less. These are just some of my service priorities. They provide all the incentive I need to explore a different way of doing business in government. Through accountability, consolidation, collaboration, transparency, and DuPage, we're saving money, over $100 million. We're changing the culture. We are repurposing those dollars. We've not raised taxes, not yet anyway, and we are making a difference for our citizens. And the idea is caught on. We're gaining more and more attention. Last year, I convened a group of like-minded legislators, nonprofits, civic representatives, academic experts to figure out how to replicate our Act savings to the other 101 counties throughout Illinois. I was thrilled, honored, humbled that there's a level of interest in our little initiative that could. We were aided by groups that supported us, Better Government Association, Illinois Campaign for Political Reform, National Association of County Governments. They all recognized us for our efforts. Their engagement, the need to save revenue in any corner of Illinois just to stop the bleeding, and the election of a governor determined to bring balance to budgeting have really created a perfect storm for us and for our cause. I was flattered and humbled and honored when the governor singled out our efforts in DuPage to reduce the size, scope, and cost of local government during his first State of the State message in Springfield. I was certainly gratified to see the interest in our initiative. Spotlight is good for the cause. But, I got to admit, I spent 20 years in the legislature, and, there I was up in the gallery and watching this thing unfold, this scene. And it was a little surreal, and I was wondering, what are those guys, what are they thinking right now, really? And, the governor undoubtedly, like, Cronin, this half-baked consolidation plan of yours better work. And then I'm thinking, well, Madigan's like, hey, look at that. I wonder what ever happened to that kid, He found some work. Good for him, there you go. And then John's got the look on his face, and I know exactly what he's thinking. He says, wasn't it the Senate Bill 494 that let you consolidate in DuPage, Cronin? Wasn't that the bill? And if memory serves me correct, wasn't it the Democrats who voted for it when your Republican buddies dragged their feet? Which is all true. And, of course, the kid in the front, I don't know what he's like, am I going to look like that when I... Hey, you take on local government consolidation, see how you look in a few years. In all seriousness, it is true that we struggled with members of our own party a bit in 2013, but we have some champions, guys like Ron Sandak, and there's people on both sides of the aisle that resist this. It's just institutional stuff that makes it really, really difficult. But we did pass the bill, and we have had some success. We are trying to take that success, that model, that bill from 2013, and expand it right now to Lake and McHenry counties. And I'm going to have to talk to Bruce Dold afterwards because there's a few obstacles down in the legislature right now that will leave you scratching your head once again. But I am delighted that Governor Rauner believes in what we're doing. This past winter, the governor signed an executive order establishing the Illinois Task Force on Local Government Consolidation and Unfunded Mandates. And I am really honored to work with Lieutenant Governor Evelyn Sanguinetti. She's a good person. Our work has taught us that we can make meaningful change, we can change the culture, we can break down the barriers, we can cut out the waste, but you must measure the savings. You must make it real and tangible. We've already used the law passed in 2013 to consolidate 2 units of government, eliminate, dissolve. We've got about 7,998 to go. But I have learned a few things along the way. We've saved over $100 million and we've been able to repurpose. But sometimes the best approach is consolidation, no doubt. Sometimes there are reforms that you can implement that stop short of consolidation. Shared services, joint procurement, better transparency. Sometimes the mere threat of consolidation saves money. And sometimes the mere threat of consolidation backfires. And I can tell you a quick little story. I have this responsibility appointed to people to various boards and commissions throughout DuPage County, one of which is the Warrenville Fire Protection District. Little area, a little sleepy, kind of West DuPage County, and it's my job to appoint these folks. And so when I came in and I embraced this consolidation idea, and I wanted to sit down with all the different appointees, people that had been there before, see if we wanted to consider them staying. So I sat down with the Warrenville Fire Protection, nice people, well-intentioned. They didn't really like the idea of sharing services, and I got to have an ethics ordinance, really, and. So, a couple of those folks, we didn't appoint. We didn't reappoint them. We've brought some new, fresh talent, people, right thinking in. Well, lo and behold, the two folks that didn't get reappointed, they went out into the community, circulated a petition this last election season saying that, we need to have an elected board. We need to take care of our own. We don't want this evil Cronin over there, and so sure enough, human nature being what it is, everybody signed the petition, got on the ballot. Daily Herald did an editorial, said don't vote for this thing, and we tried our best to convey a message, but sure enough, people voted for it, so it's going to be elected board. So I hope that the folks who elect that board will try to hold them as accountable as we have done at the county. I wish them the very best, and we'll be watching. But look, it's tough business when you take on the establishment. We have a bill, several bills in Springfield right now. And, under the guise of consolidation, there's a lot of people down there that are paid to keep their local business, local government in business, right? And, small, little bills you wouldn't think really mattered much. I mean, that's why these guys are there. That's why the lobbyists and the lawyers are there, and they fight vigorously. And it is remarkable. There are efforts afoot to water down the bill that we have. At the same time, we're trying to expand it to McHenry and to Lake. The entrenched interests are powerful, but we are gathering influence through our Transform Illinois coalition that you'll be hearing more about in the future. We saved a lot of money. We've repurposed those dollars. These are real dollars for important human service needs. But I'll tell you, it is difficult. And I am hopeful and I'm confident that we can make meaningful change. I think we have a model that we've demonstrated in DuPage County, and I think we've gone about consolidation in a very responsible, deliberative way. We do want to change the world. There are 7,000 units out there. Some need to be there and some may not. What is the right number? To get down to the right size, you're going to ultimately need a tool like a constitutional amendment that empowers the voters through appropriate and fair citizen petition to thoughtfully dissolve and merge units of local government. We have to come up with that, and at the same time, we have to create some requirement governing the process of creating a new unit of local government. It's very easy to create a unit of local government. It's very difficult to dissolve one. So I believe that my mission, specifically in the future and the go forward, is to require that there's some higher level of requirement or of due diligence to form a unit of local government and satisfy some good faith requirement that you've looked for other avenues to provide this service before you create a new unit. We must make it more difficult to create a local government than dissolve one. My ultimate end game is one, law and policies that break down those barriers to consolidation through voter referendum, and a new requirement, good faith, a high bar before a new unit can be created. It's difficult work, no doubt. I'll tell you, that's motivation to me. That's what gets me up and out in the morning going, right? Consolidation, making the world more efficient. I don't know. It's not glamorous. Julie doesn't really like to talk to me about it much. But she tolerates it. But I got to tell you, I close on this note, if I may. Taking on the establishment, taking on what is very difficult here is gratifying, and all of you do that in your world, I'm sure. And you know, you got one life to live, and you want to make sure that you're doing something that you think is meaningful. I was at Judy Bar Topinka's memorial service back in December, and retired Army Major Joseph Barr Topinka moved us, I think, with his honesty and his personal recollections of his mother's extraordinary life. And he shared a thought that I try to take to what I do, and I think many of you do. And he said he looked out at the audience of mayors and governors past and present, friends and business associates and people, and he implored all the people there that day that compromise is a positive, not a negative word. He urged us, Republicans, Democrats, all to come together to bring our state back to a golden age. And I believe that's what we all want. So Judy spent her life working for Greater Illinois. I'm trying to make my imprint in my little corner of the world out in DuPage. I have a lot of fun with it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share some thoughts with you here today. Thank you and God bless. I'm happy to try to answer some questions.
That was great. Hey, that was great. All right, and great talk brings great questions. We've got all those cards out there, and we've got also the fishbowl with the business cards. If you haven't put your business card in, please do so. We've got who are our City Club spotters here? Okay, here we are. Questions? Are we getting questions? We've got a few. Come on over. So let's see here, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Let me start off with one. Paul asked me to ask this. It's his fault. What ends up coming out of Springfield this spring?
Well, easy for me to offer opinions from the sideline, and I'm not in the line of fire anymore down there. But I think you're going to see. I think the governor will embrace his role as a problem solver very soon. I think he is a very skillful negotiator, and I am impressed with the way he's put every issue on the table. I do think that there needs to be a prioritization. We need to look at the budget. We need to look at pensions. The governor is passionate about a philosophy and an approach to governance, and I respect that. I think at the same time, let's face it, he's a skillful and talented businessman who has realized, huge success, and I trust that he will know how to strike the best bargain. But I do think that he believes also that this is a threshold moment, and that you can be assured that there will be an effort to take every issue that is near and dear to this governor, near and dear to a lot of us, to take it to the mats. So, I think that it's going to be very interesting to watch what happens. I don't think I'm saying anything that most of you in this room don't already know. But I think, let's face it, there are monumental problems, and there's going to have to be some dramatic new direction for us to go in. So I don't know if that answered it or not. But.
All right, that's great. Thank you. From Mark Weiermuller, Chairman Cronin, would you support moving new government employees to Social Security, FICA, or private IRAs to start a phase-out of the public pension mess?
Years ago, I sponsored a constitutional amendment in Springfield to go to a defined contribution plan, and it was all considered to be prospective. So I do think that in the long run, a defined contribution plan, an approach to retirement benefits that more mirrors the private sector is probably wise. But for those who think that an immediate shift to a defined contribution plan is going to do anything meaningful in the short run is probably misguided, because the amount of money that you would have to put into that system to pay out benefits from the existing system is monumental. So Conceptually, I'm not opposed to some of the thoughts that you have there, Mark, but I wouldn't sign on exactly to what you're proposing. But I think the idea of changing the way benefits are done prospectively is something that probably is pretty reasonable.
All right. Dinkar Karamuri, who is also a member of the City Club, from Senroyo Technologies. How is technology helping you in your consolidation efforts?
Well, that's a good question. It's helping us immensely. We have a ERP. We've just engaged with some folks, and we've spent some money, but we are measuring the results. I have a healthy dose of skepticism about technology. No, don't want to offend anybody here, but I do think that technology, if properly managed, has the potential to do a lot of really good things in government. And it can help us provide services more efficiently. So we have some experience right now with our ERP system. We went to a lean government program which incorporates the technology. And I think technology offers a lot of promise to government in the future as budgets get tighter and tighter and you have to do more with less.
And we've got another question coming over. I want to ask you, Chairman, about technology as a source for shared services and shared purchase of services.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that have been out there already, reverse auctions, a lot of way in procurement. There's a fellow came by our office the other day, and you showed me the drones. There's a lot of things you can do with drones, but I'm talking about good, virtuous things. But it was remarkable. He showed me how I can look at my cell phone, my smartphone, and I can look at what's happening over at the quarry, whether or not the Faywell Dam, whether there's flooding going on there. It's great, and you don't have to have some crew out there. And so there's a lot of promise with technology, if properly managed.
Mary Sue Barrett, member of the City Club, president of the Metropolitan Planning Council, joins us and asks, or says, thank you for making local government reform fun and funny. Can you please share your story about DuPage snowplows?
Well, Mary Sue, thank you. And it's a delight. Mary Sue and I are working together. We're co-chairing this exciting new organization, and you'll be hearing lots more about it soon, Transform Illinois. We think it's going to offer a very good counterbalance to the established, keep things as they are folks. But yeah, so I shared this with Mary Sue some time ago. It was one of the first lessons that I had on duplication and consolidation and the need for it. So I was out with the guys early on. It was a big snowfall, and I wanted to bond with the DOT drivers. And so I got up early in the morning, and I'm in the truck riding along, and we'd be plowing down on County Road, and all of a sudden they'd pick up the plow. They'd pick up the front of the plow, and they'd drive for about a mile down the road, and then they put the plow back down. I'm like, well, why do we do that? He goes, oh, well, that's a state highway, or that's another county highway. You got to give those guys something to do, And so it's like, wow. I knew right then and there we got a problem.
And consolidation was the answer. Well, we all know Dan Cronin is the answer to many questions. Let's give him a round of applause. All right, hold it.